My name is Carol Nganga, as you've been told. I'm the founder of Msingi Trust. And before I begin my presentation, I'd like to honor a few communities that I'm part of, because I'm a child of community. Educated through collective efforts, cheered on, and believed in by a collective, by my Kenyan family, my friends, and my Dagoretti people. So I also stand today in my other home. I would like to honor the Christchurch community, if anyone of you is here, that supported me through education. And this is very important because, as we know, one of the things that alienates people like me is lack of access to education. So thank you to that community. I'd like to honor my cornerstone community. My lecturers, my friends, and family for lifelong lessons and relations. And I'd like to honor my warehouse family for fanning into flame a gift that they have seen and encouraged me to go into this journey. So thank you. What I'd like to talk to you about today is what I've been doing for the past 1 year. I started an organization called Msingi. So Msingi is every time I say it, I say Msingi is the warehouse when it grows up. So when I grow up, I want to be like the warehouse. So our work is to mobilize, equip, and network Christians towards social justice and advocacy and social transformation. Msingi comes from Psalms 89:14, justice and righteousness is the foundation of your throne. How we work, we do content, we write, collate, produce material for Christians, faith-based development workers, and justice workers for the country. We are also involved in incubating conversations and ensuring that people are connected. So what I'd like to spend a few minutes in is, is to give you where we're working at, where we're from. I'm Kenyan, and I'd like to take you through how Kenya is. Kenya at a glance. If you're asked about Kenya, what would you say? The Great Migration, right? Animals and everything towards that. But the reality in Kenya is this. Less than 0.1% of the population, that's 8,300 people, own more wealth than the bottom 99.9%. The richest 10% of people in Kenya earn on average 23 times more than the poorest 10%. Gender inequality is prevalent in Kenya. For example, despite 96% of Kenya's rural women population working on farms, only 6% of the women in Kenya hold a title to land. Kenyan media have uncovered 40 corruption scandals in the past 5 years. The estimated cash loss to corruption is all that money. I can't even say it. Like, how do you say all that? That's a lot of money. Yeah, like, who can say that? Yeah. Yes. And then the wealth in Kenya 2014 report found that 50% of Kenya's wealth is in the hands of political families. And this is important because every time you hear that there's an election in Kenya, there's violence. Because access to capital and wealth is through politics. And one of our political parties, one of our political families own 500,000 acres of land in Kenya. So that's our state. And then this right here is what breaks my heart. Pew Research estimates that by 2020, the Kenyan Christian population will be 84.5%. So, the Msingi question is this. If we are 84.5% Christian as a country, who is corrupt? Who oversees it? And who facilitates it? If we are 84.5 Christian, who owns majority of the arable land, which is 17%, and who doesn't? If you're 84.5% Christian, who oppresses women? If we are 84.5% Christian, who kills during elections? Who kills? The answer? It's us. It's us, the Christians, that kill, steal, and destroy. We are doing the devil's work. Could you please go back again? And the question is, what is it about our theology and our praxis that allows us to live this way? What is it that allows us to have so much wealth and be fine with it? What is it, and then still say that you're Christian? What is it? And so, where we're at is that we're following what we're grappling with. What do we need to do as a community, as a church? And as Tutu said, there comes a point where we need to stop just pulling people out of the river. We need to go upstream and find out why they're falling in. And so for us going upstream, what does that look like? It means decolonizing and decapitalizing Kenyan Christianity. It means dealing with patriarchy and patronage within the church. It means deconstructing the view and use of social, economic, and political power within and by the church. And then it means teaching the basics of biblical justice to grassroots pastors, community leaders, and the youth. And that's what I've been doing in Msingi. And these are the voices that come when we have those conversations. And one of the people, when I did a training, said, what I've learned that as a Christian, I shouldn't have judged Boniface Mwangi, who's a political activist. As a matter of fact, I should have been with him, advocating for change. This is a participant in the Change Makers training that we did. And then this is the question of a pastor and of many pastors when we're working with them. So he asks, what should I do as a pastor when I know that the government has given me land to build my church, yet at the same time, I know they are killing our children extrajudicially? How do I speak out when I know I will lose my church? And he went through faith roots. We are currently going through training with what we learned from the last Justice Conference, faith-rooted organizing. And this is the question that he is grappling with right now. And then this is, I think for me, this is the saddest statement. This, to give a bit of context, is that it's after last year we had murders after elections, and people died. And recently the leaders reconciled. So the woman says, the leaders at the top reconciled and forgave each other. So now what about me? My son was killed during the election, and nobody has come to ask for my forgiveness. And then there's a guy that said, who's a grassroots human rights defender, who said, so this book, the Bible, actually speaks a lot about justice. It has more material about justice than I thought existed. And so the Msingi mandate is to have these conversations, is to make these conversations known, is to have the knowledge that as Christians, as 84.5 of us, as we proclaim the gospel, it must have social consequences. And our demonstration, our activism and advocacy must have evangelistic consequences. So that's the Msingi call, and that, I feel like that resonates with all of us as we grapple with our political, social, and economic spaces. So thank you.